Hello and welcome to GPTV on the most incredible Tuesday, a post-grand final Tuesday, the 27th of October. My name is Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Pearce. Phil, and if you're part of the Tiger Army, if you're into the yellow and black, you'd be very happy right now, wouldn't you, Phil? Very happy.
What a grand final of all grand finals. Firstly, a night grand final. Secondly, a grand final held in that godforsaken northern state that has enjoyed a pretty COVID-free existence. So good on to Queensland. You definitely deserve a grand final. But don't get too used to it, Queenslanders, because it will be the last time a grand final is ever played at the Gabba.
So it's coming back, Vegas, so don't get too excited. Don't get too full of yourselves and ahead of yourselves there with your border closes and your big grand final and your AFL bubbles. We're bringing back our players. We're bringing back the flag. And Phil, good to see two Victorian teams fighting it out. Port Adelaide looked like they were going to be in there. Brisbane looked like they were going to be in there. But it wasn't to be, Phil. It was a local Victorian final. The flag stays here. So we need a bit of joy in Victoria, don't we, at the moment, Phil? Because it's been tough, hasn't it? Really?
Oh, well, let's just wrap the grand final. What a great result. And shout out to all of the Richmond supporters that avidly follow GPTV, which is their next viewing experience. After watching their godlike figure being dusty, what an amazing game it is. And you've got to love that bloke. I mean, really, if you judged him on appearances, you wouldn't get him to do a thing for you. But underneath it all, and there was a lovely article in Friday's Age about what just a lovable, low-key guy he is and how his appearance is the complete antithesis of who he really is. And you see him after the game and, you know, he's like this little puppy that really just wants to hug people. And yet if you have a look at him, you just want to run a mile thinking he's going to kill you and your entire family.
Yes, his very different appearance on the podium when he made his very brief and lovely speech to meeting him in a dark alley, Phil. I don't think it would have quite the same effect. But good luck to Dusty. Good luck to the mighty Tigers, Phil. They were the first, but up to the age of, I think, 12 years old, I barracked for Tigers and I changed to Carlton. Not many people ever do that, Phil. So
I'm not sure you should. I think we should actually beep or delete that out. I'm not sure our loyal viewers would think much of a person that changes their footy.
It's a character flaw. I've got one friend that's talking about moving from Carlton to Collingwood. It's like, I mean, who does that anyway? But of course, it's put a bit of a strain on our friendship. But anyway, Phil, let's just talk about auctions because, firstly, I'm sorry, but a bit red on the face here, Phil. But you and Jeremy had much delight.
Can we tell the viewers the truth about? Look, I know that there's some viewers, some really hard-nosed, cynical viewers, possibly cynical viewers from England, where this apparently happens quite a bit. But bizarrely in England, there is an acid throwing thing amongst the disaffected youth in England where they throw acid in people's faces. And so there'd be probably some cynical GPTV viewers that grew up in England that would just take one look at you and go, oh, clearly there's an unhappy client whose property you passed in, Gary, and rather than them say, look, you did a terrible job or I'm unhappy, they just walked up to you post-auction and threw acid all over your face, because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it does look a bit like a botched thing, but look, Phil, as you know, I've had a little
tell us the truth, Gary. What is it?
Well, the truth hurts in this case, Phil, because I had a little bit of skin cancer a few years ago. This time they said, look, we've got this beautiful treatment. It's so gentle. There's no laser. We're going to take off some of the skin just by putting a little bit of a wash on it and putting you out in the sun. And if you go out in the sun, it'll naturally remove any marks. So I didn't realize that I would be up howling in my sleep, feeling like somewhat of a burns victim because it was very, very severe, as it turned out, and aggressive, Phil. But anyway, that's why the shows like Botched that do well, Phil. But I consider myself to be just a happy little Vegemite, Phil, because, of course, for those and the overseas viewers might not appreciate that, but, of course, a Vegemite, happy Vegemite, as you might remember, what signifies a happy Vegemite, Philip?
You tell me, Gary.
A rose in every cheek. A rose in every cheek, Phil. So I'd like to think that I'm a happy little Vegemite.
All I can say, Gary, is on the assumption that you actually went to see a certified dermatologist or a certified doctor, and you weren't actually in Springvale Road at the back of a bakery where there was a woman that masqueraded as a dermatologist operating out of the back of a bakery in Springvale Road in Springvale. That, I think, alone should have caused concern to people going there for plastic surgery. But on the assumption that you actually went to a professional, Gary, and that job is one done with medical consideration, let's just hope it's worth it.
Well, the guy in the pub said that I'd be right with that person in Springvale, Phil, and I got a bit suspicious when I saw the woman standing next to me in the men's bathroom. I had a bit of a break from the treatment, Phil, so I'm not quite sure what that was about. But look, it's okay, Phil. Next week I'll be back to my former. Look, I'll have beautiful skin next week, Phil. And I think it's a punishment because probably 3 or 4 weeks ago I had a crack at you for having a cold sore on your lip. So that's what happens, Phil. It's karma, and I copped it.
Let's wrap up this chapter of GPTV by just saying to all viewers, it is so important in this harsh country we call Australia and we call home. It is so important to regularly have your skin checked, because what might look like a slight imperfection in your skin can go horribly wrong if you're not on top of it. So make sure, as a result of seeing Gary's scary monster face today, you pick up the phone and dial D for dermatologist. Gary, great to be back. Look, we've been very critical of Dan Andrews along the journey, which, by the way, viewers, for those of you that have been Dan Andrews supporters, I think the beauty about living in a democracy is that we all have a right to be critical. And when we're all uncritical of our democratically elected leaders, that in itself is a problem. So we've been critical, but we are back in business, albeit on a very slimmed down version. We've probably got the Weight Watchers approach to auctions at the moment, where the Premier has allowed us to have auctions with no more than 10 registered parties. And that must be 10 individuals, not 10 couples or 10 families, but 10 individuals. They must be registered so that we know where we can contact trace them, because real estate agents will be good contact tracers, unlike, of course, the Victorian government. But we're allowed to have 10 registered participants together with the associated agents that go along with that transaction. So we've had a number across the weekend, Gary. In fact, we had 12 auctions scheduled for the weekend, and including the ones that we sold under the hammer, the ones that we sold by passing in and immediately negotiating, and the ones that were sold prior to auction, we sold 12 out of 12. So let's get the towers up. Let's relaunch those towers, because I think the industry came in the 60s. We'll give you the exact number, but we came in at 100%, and that's 12 from 12 viewers, not 1 from 1 or 2 from 2, but 12 from 12. I'm pumped. I'm excited. We're back.
I love it, Phil. And look, I think, look, you read very fast there with a lot of information, but I think Dan Andrews with lockdown is a bit like you with an auction, Phil. I feel like now as a Victorian, what a buyer at auction feels like for you. It's just like, just a little bit more, just a little bit further, just another one. It's like you say, look, another bid, just one more. You're almost there. We're so close. Oh, I've got to kill that dog. Sorry, so we're so close, we're almost there, you're just about, and it's like you're at an auction, you tease and you coerce and it's like, is this ever going to end? And that's how it feels like to be one of the subjects. And the dog's had enough of bloody Dan Andrews too. That's what it likes to feel like, a subject of Dan Andrews at the moment.
You're now suggesting that I'm the Dan Andrews of auctioneers.
I think so.
I take that in the positive in which it was meant. And for those viewers that are animal enthusiasts, when Gary said he was going to kill that dog, he's now left the screen to quieten the dog down, not actually kill it. And just for the record, if there's children watching this show, it's just a joke. We do not advocate on GPTV animal cruelty.
I think people know that, Phil. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think you're reflecting back to your days of Cootamundra on the farm, where when someone said, "I'm going to kill that dog,"
No more jokes about the farm and my father, because your reinterpretation of the facts may not be as he remembers them, and I'm not going to go there yet.
I didn't mention your father, Philip. You brought him into the conversation. What I did say is that, when we say I'm going to kill that dog in the city, it's a joke. When you say it in the country, I tell you what, if I was that dog, I'd be running very fast into the next property. Phil, it has been amazing.
Speaking of animal cruelty, Gary,
yes.
I am watching a show at the moment on SBS On Demand. And viewers, if you're not watching SBS On Demand, they actually have the best selection. In fact, first of all, it's free, and secondly, they have got, I reckon, the pick of just about all the shows. I'm watching 2 shows, Gary, on SBS On Demand at the moment. I'm watching Tehran. Well, all I can tell you is don't watch episodes of Tehran immediately before going to bed, because I get to bed and my heart is thumping. I'm completely on edge, and then I've got to wait a whole week for the next episode. But Tehran, unbelievable.
Is that an X-rated edition or something, Phil? Is there something I should know about that?
No. It's just gripping on the edge of your seat viewing. And then the other one that I'm watching on SBS On Demand, Gary, is Gomorrah, which is they've marketed as the Italian equivalent of Breaking Bad. But I've got to tell you, it's incredible viewing. If you want to watch something that you'll get some mileage out of, because there's 48 episodes, so you can seriously binge this one. Very, very good watching.
You see, we're very different people, Philip. We've always known that. And we're going to get to some auctions results and some real estate shortly. But, there are some people out there like you that watch multiple series at the same time. I don't get that. Like, I can't do that. I go watch one, finish it, move to the next one. Now, that's the Austrian in me, Philip, that we like order and control. But how you can go from, all of a sudden you're watching, something sad over there, and then it's 50 Shades of Grey over here, and then it's, some other series, Homeland over there, and then it's, Gomorrah, and then it's Schitt's Creek. And how does that work? I don't get that, sorry.
It's just a juggling thing. And look, you know what, there's no question that, yes, we are different people. The reality is you are of Austrian descent, which probably says quite a lot about you. But the bottom line is, I think it's just the ability my mind has to grasp a whole lot of different concepts at the same time and be able to run with them. You're just a lot more simple, essentially.
I think a confused mind watches lots of shows and mixes up the characters. And anyway, look, we can debate this ad nauseum, Phil. But look, you talked about auctions before. And what about auction faux pas, Phil? Because I said something in auction a little while ago. It reminded me of that whole Dan Andrews thing, and also about, pushing people. And I remember I said at an auction a little while ago, I said, it's just one more push. And, I said, it's like having a baby, one more push. And I don't think it went down well, Phil. I'm not sure whether there is a line that I stepped over that day as an auctioneer. Is that a entirely inappropriate thing to say, do you think?
Look, I think that we do live in a totally politically correct age, and whether we like it or not, you've just got to roll with it. If there's one thing that I've learned, I reckon, over the last couple of years, that as a public speaker and as an auctioneer, and if you think about the amount of public speaking we both do in other organisations or for charitable organisations, I think that the one thing that should be constant is always err on the side of kindness and happiness. Because as soon as you cross, sometimes we think it's funny at the time, and maybe half the crowd think it's funny. But I think that we've always got to err on the side of being positive and kind, and the humour should revolve around positivity and kindness, and then you can't go wrong.
Well, I don't think we've ever been nasty auctioneers. I've been to auctions, and I won't name the auctioneer, where they've talked about what you're wearing, and they've talked about the people's appearances, and they've been quite personal. I think we've always been classy enough to stay away from that. But I think, sometimes we dance on the border a little bit, Phil. And look, I remember one of the great faux pas of real estate when we visited, maybe 25 years ago, an elderly couple, Philip, and you said, look, do you want to buy before you sell, or would you like to sell before you die? Wanted to say sell before you buy, But I don't think we got that listing at the time, Phil, and I don't think we went out in too many listings together after that.
That will go down as one of my all-time famous faux pas.
Yeah, exactly right.
Would you like to sell before you? Would you like to buy before you sell, or sell before you buy? Was not a winning line. Anyway, apparently those people are still alive and well and very happy in their nursing home. And no, we did not get their sale.
I'm still traumatised from that real estate agent they met all those years ago, no doubt. Phil, we've made a few sales. I think we should talk about them. We've got a property of the week or two as well. Look. I don't know, Thursday night, I went wandering through the streets of South Caulfield with my suit on, and lo and behold, Philip, I saw your car, I saw some people, I walked into a back garden in Rain Street, and there you were doing an auction. Well, how long has it been since you've done a lot?
Viewers, we're not allowed to put up open for inspection boards or flags, so it's an invitation-only event, essentially, unless you're a buyer that's been following the date and time of where an auction's scheduled. But, you know, it's probably a bit of a bizarre experience, because if you were the surrounding neighbours, there you are, 6:30, maybe having a pre-dinner drink and canapes in your garden, just enjoying life as normal people do. And all of a sudden, you're jolted into some sort of real estate reality show where there's a noise coming where somebody's trying to sell a house, and there you were just going about your business. So yes, we held it in the back garden. So viewers, you're allowed to have auctions, but there must be 10 people, as I said before. They must be done outside. So we held it in the back garden, and we had 10 registered groups. And I put in a vendor bid. Finally, one of the parties put in a bid. I passed the property into that person. You then went into a post-auction negotiation with that person, and the property was sold successfully. So not sure whether you're going to say the price or not, don't know whether it's disclosed or not, but Rain Street, Caulfield South, a beautiful home. Congratulations to the vendors who had presented it and prepared it so beautifully well.
Well, it was quoted, Philip, in that high ones area. I can say that because that was on the statement of information, Phil, in that high ones. So you can, make your own conclusions where it was sold, viewers. But great to get that one away. How long has it been since you've done a on-site physical auction? Because the last one you did was in your underpants, and I'm glad that you didn't have the same uniform on this time, Phil.
Well, it's I'm so unused to doing them, Gary, and I'm so used to sitting on Zooms in my underpants that I'm just happy that I remembered to put my pants on.
That was good.
It's been a long time, Gary. I can't remember when the last one was. It's months and months ago. And I was actually scared. I thought, is it truly like riding a bike that, once you've learned to ride a bike, you never forget? It's just a matter of getting on. But, auctions are far more complicated, Gary, than a simple ride your bike around the park. There's a lot more responsibility. There's a lot more pressure. Obviously, the money involved is significant. So all of the people that use the analogy of, it's just like riding a bike. Well, you clearly haven't done auctions. You don't know what you're talking about. It comes with a sense of responsibility. But yes, Gary, Rain Street, back garden, Thursday night. I was incredible.
I'm going to do something which I don't often do, Phil, but I'm going to agree with you on this occasion. I think you're right. It was great. Not that you were incredible, but just the fact that, you were fine, you were back on track. It is, of course, an art form. And look, I haven't done an auction for a long time, Phil. I'm feeling a bit rusty, so I'm going to step back to auctions.
Just like riding a bike.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it. But I've got nothing to worry about. Phil, you doubled up Riddell Parade, sold that one on the weekend. I think the price.
Well, I just want to send a bit of a shout out to Nikki Janover and Lamore Herskowitz, who not only handled Rain Street, but handled Riddell Parade. They are a mighty combination. They are two of the most experienced salespeople that you will ever meet. They do a fabulous job. So they sold Rain Street on Thursday night and then moved their spectacular prowess onto the Salem Riddell Parade, which I rang them beforehand. How are we going? Am I going to be right? Is this going to be a hard job, easy job? And they said, no, Philip, understand. We've got our registered parties. They're all in place. Interestingly, Gary, we held the auction on site, of course, which is the requirement of the law. And there were no more than 10 people on site, but there were people that knew about the auction, Gary, that took the opportunity to stand out in the street. So it's interesting to understand that whilst we can do all we can to conform with the law, we cannot stop the general public for going out and about and a walk.
And if people want to be in the background, Phil, and the buyers are in the foreground, and there's limits there, and there's socially distances and distance and wearing masks, then I think that's as good as it's going to get right now, Phil. And I don't see any issue with that. It is a free country, or it doesn't feel necessarily like that, but people can still do that. But Phil, it was a great result. Well done. Good competitive auction. I understand 3 strong bidders and a buyer.
And sold well in excess of the top end of the range too. So viewers, I'm not sure, Gary, you'll get a check as I talk, but the quote range on that property was 1,900,000 to 2,090,000. The reserve was at the top end of the range, and we sold it for well in excess of the top end of the range, with 3 parties bidding competitively for it. So I just want to make the point that properties are selling competitively, and they're selling competitively in all price ranges. We had auctions from, the low 100,000s right through to well in excess of $2 million and everything in between, and they're all competitive. So buyers are out there, viewers, people have got an appetite to purchase. And one thing that we must remember, Gary, is that whilst we've been in lockdown, there are a lot of people whose incomes haven't been affected. There are also a lot of people that have done very well right through COVID. So, whilst I have a huge amount of sympathy, of course, for people that have been economically affected, like every single real estate agent I know, the bottom line is there are people that have done very well, that are wanting to get on with their life. And a lot of people, and I'm hearing this a lot, Gary, I'm sure you are too, a lot of people are just saying, you know what? I want a bigger house. I want more room. I want more space. I want some garden.
People are saying I want to study, Phil, aren't they? So they can actually work from their homes now, different lifestyles. But you're right. And of course, for those GPTV viewers that took up our offer to see Nera de Conisby, the economist, speak, she did say that, Phil. She clued us in and said, if you've got a job, you've saved a lot of money, you haven't been on a holiday this year, interest rates are low, there's a good reason why property should be very strongly sought after. And of course, we're seeing Sydney. People have hit hard in Sydney. Prices are firm, if not going up. And we're getting a very firm results in Melbourne too. Maybe surprisingly for some, Phil, we had a couple of apartments that sold before auction on Hotham Street. 20 at 46 to 50 Hotham Street sold for $600,000. There was an apartment in Carlisle Street. We're expecting mid to high fives. Phil, we had that sold before auction for well in excess of 600. The price undisclosed.
Just want to make a point there on that sale, Gary. Congratulations to the vendor, and congratulations to Michael Jonas from our St Kilda office, who successfully negotiated the Carlisle Street and the Hotham Street property. But particular mention, and this is not me just bragging, but we do have a very thorough system in the way we approach all of our sales. It's both creative from a marketing point of view and scientific from the point of view that we really do make sure we do everything correctly. And we sold the Carlisle Street property for tens of thousands of dollars more than what an agent had sold in that building literally a month or two beforehand. So I'm really quite proud of that result, viewers, because we sell in all price ranges. We're just as proud of our lower price sales as we are our higher price sales, but that's an absolute case in point of our approach being more thorough.
Phil, it was sold, the other apartment only sold literally a week or two ago. And we sold it for more than $50,000 more than the other apartment, which was the same size. There was another sale in that building, also probably about 5 or 6 months ago. And we've sold ours again for some $60,000 more. So it's been quite an incredible telling point, I think, on how we work our database and negotiate, Phil. But moving on, in terms of apartments, Jeremy Rosen sold 4 at 316 Dandenong Road. Competitive auction, $616,500. So well done to Mr. Jeremy Rosens on that one. Phil, we've got some auctions coming up. We've got some properties to talk about. How about this block of apartments, Phil, goes up tomorrow in Marriott Street, prices being significantly reviewed, now 2.9 to 3.2 or thereabouts in terms of the range. We're talking about a 2-bedroom apartment for like $350,000 per apartment, Phil. That's got to be great value for a block of flats.
Gary, and blocks of flats have proven over the long term to be just one of the most outstanding investments in real estate, and I include all commercial real estate as well. Why would you have a shop, for example, on Chapel Street, which is sitting there vacant or rents are going down, when you can buy an apartment building with a whole range of tenancies? and know that you'll have a 95, 98, 99% occupancy over a 10-year period. So I know which one I'd rather put my money into.
100%. Phil, we've got a few twilight auctions as well this week. On Thursday, 5 o'clock, we're selling 9 at 1017 Glen Huntly Road, and Viv Samuel handling that one together with Leo as the auctioneer, and also 43 Crimea Street, which goes up on Thursday. Another Twilighter, Phil. We love the Twilights. Glenn Shorrock used to be in a band called the Twilights. Just thought that might be of interest to you. A bit of music trivia for those. Before he was in Axiom, and of course then he was in Little River Band. But anyway, we're moving off the topic. 43 Crimea.
Still alive?
Oh yeah, Glenn Shorrock. Yeah, he was just interviewed recently, actually. Still alive and kicking. And I think he's still singing as well. But Phil, this one sold. This one goes to auction. Hasn't sold yet. Haven't spent the commission yet. But 7 o'clock on Thursday night, 43 Crimea Street. Phil, it's going to be Derby Day on Saturday. Usually a day where we don't have any auctions, but we've snuck a couple in because we know it's a very different year and day. We've got Wheeler Street again, of Viv and Leor. Saturday morning, Derby morning, Phil, 10:30 a.m. In Ormond. Great looking property. This one, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. We're moving on at the same time around the corner, Phil, just up the road in Murrumbina. Graham Callan meets together with Dan Dyson to be auctioning 5 Atkinson Street, which is again a wonderful 4-bedroom home in the wonderful suburb of Murrumbina. And Phil, at 12:30, David Thompson gives us the benefit and beauty of his dulcet tones doing the auction in Arnott Street, Ormond, Phil, this 1-bedroom apartment at 12:30. And on Sunday, we're going to bring Jeremy out again to Dandenong Road, this time in Armidale, to auction 11 at 527 Dandenong Road, Armidale. Great location, a 2-bedroom apartment, Phil, in a wonderful spot. This weekend, it's a little bit like the calm before the storm. We've got a few auctions, and then it gets very explosive after that, Phil. But already next Tuesday, already Melbourne Cup Day. How quickly it comes around, Phil.
Well, the year's almost done, Gary. You know that once the grand final's done and once Melbourne Cup's done, you know, it's keep the candles burning until Christmas Eve, because we're going to go hard and there's going to be a lot of activity as there is so much pent-up demand, and as vendors have come forward now and given us stock to get us through spring. I'm looking forward to all of our team doing an incredible job where they are doing really 2-3 times more work for each sale, because when you've got to show people through properties one-on-one, spacing them 15 minutes apart, it's a big job, but a job that our entire team is doing so well. So shout out to all of them.
And a big shout out to our property managers, Phil, who can now lease properties. They're busy leasing. There's plenty going on in that space now, and they're working very hard, harder than they've ever worked before. So a shout out to our property managers, Phil, the unsung heroes of the real estate industry who do such an incredible job. Phil, we've got one property to talk about and review. That's 150 Sycamore Street, Caulfield South. I want to talk a little bit about this property, Philip, this 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom property. I mean, you're looking at the photos now on screen. What a beautiful looking home. And don't we just love that address, Sycamore Street, a fantastic location.
And think about where Sycamore Street is. It is an incredible location because it's anchored by Princes Park, which has really been done up so brilliantly by the city of Glenara. It's real community park, so much activity there. But then, of course, in Sycamore, you're walking distance to the tram and Hawthorne Road, the tram and Glen Huntly Road, fabulous cafes. It really has become a lifestyle location, Caulfield South.
And a picture postcard, perfect home, Philip, beautifully done. Nothing to do, just move in and enjoy. And speak to Leo Samuel or Arlene Joffe for more details. They're excited to handle that one, as you would be. And of course, all the details, the auction details on screen. Phil, that's a big wrap. We're getting into the end of October. It feels it's a year like no other. It's a weird year, strange year, tough year, gritty year, Phil, but nothing that we're not up for as tough real estate people, Phil.
You know what, Gary? Just one bad year is not going to slow you down or slow me down. And keep in mind that 2021 will be the year that your face will be radiant and glowing, and your face will reflect your inner enthusiasm, your warmth, your kindness, your caringness, and your emphasis on living life to the maximum. I'm looking forward to seeing a face that does reflect that.
Yeah, I've kept it out of the sight of children, Phil. Once you see it, it's hard to unsee. I've been called Freddy Krueger. I've been called a bandicoot. I've had a few names thrown at me, Phil. There's not a lot of sympathy for me in my home. But anyway, I'm looking forward to getting back out there doing auctions when I won't scare people away with a few bit of botchiness on the old head, Phil, but it's all good because it's all happening out there in the world of real estate. We're going to keep all of our wonderful viewers informed. Hang on in there, Victorians. We think Dan's going to open the gates soon for life to resume, cafes to resume, to be open, go out shopping. I must say I've saved a fortune in that respect, Phil, although the trucks keep coming to the door. But it has been an interesting time, and we're going to bring you all the real estate news here on GPTV as we continue rolling on through October, and next week already, Phil, I think we're going to be in November. Have a great week. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Philip Kingston. Thanks for watching.
Bye now.